Public meeting to order. Roll call, please.
Lisa Woods,
Here.
Gary Daigle,
I'm really proud of you.
Adam Sarnowski,
Yes.
Sean Smalley,
Here.
Debbie Hamilton,
Here.
Larry Whitaker,
Here.
Michelle Sumner.
Here. Introduction of media.
Who's doing this? Are you?
Sure.
Let them know chat's here. If they have any questions.
Anyone wishing to speak before the agency tonight on any subject matter will need to fill out a speaker form and turn it in to the recorder. Forms are available on the sign-in table at the back of the room. Please turn your cell phones off or on silence and silence them during the meeting. Announcement for Zoom attendees. I'm sure they said that. If you're joining tonight's meeting via Zoom, you will be automatically muted upon entry, and you'll need to identify yourself if your full name is not. You know, I said. You will be unable to unmute yourself if you wish to speak. Use the raise your hand feature. To use it, click on the reactions icon at the bottom of the screen and click on the image of a hand. Public comment. The purpose of public comment period is to allow citizens to present information or raise issues. A time limit of 3 minutes per citizen shall apply. All citizens must come up to the microphone. I don't believe we have anybody.
Take one and pass it down.
No,
Consent agenda. June 9th, 2025 meeting. May I get a motion?
there is. It's fine.
I need a motion.
Make a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented. Also.
Sure.
Motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Not that
Discussion. And see the hands. Vote please.
Lisa Woods.
Aye.
Gary Daigle,
Hi.
Adam Sarnowski,
Aye.
Sean Smalley,
Aye.
Michelle Sumner,
Aye.
Debbie Hamilton,
Not that.
Larry Whitaker.
It's a competition. Could be.
Okay.
Motion carries.
Nobody's seen.
Agency business, 177 West Everett Avenue Agreement, staff report please.
Chrissy
Gilbert. Says on here. Finance director.
Well, that's a mistake. Over there.
I can if you want me to.
You go for it.
So, this is back to, you guys have seen this probably a couple times. We purchased the property in September of 2022. Lucas Maine with Lucas Maine Construction, who's here tonight, to help answer questions. So he has given us a proposal that you guys have seen probably about a year ago, April, a little over a year. And he's called it the Mill. And so this project offers a professional, well-designed space for the community to meet, enjoy good food, activities. The proposal consists of a 1,600 square foot building with roll-up doors, open air field, including beer garden, food service, no cost video games for kids, and an adult tax throwing section. In addition, he's proposing 1,000 square foot covered patio area with outdoor tables, portable heaters in the colder months. There'll be additionally 6 to 8 permanent food truck vendors on site for the nice variety of cuisines. Areas would also be provided for live music, potential small mini golf area, Wi-Fi provided for the patrons. The area will also be fenced with unobtrusive but secure locking fence. As we continue to work with Lucas Maine Construction, along with the all-inclusive involvement of our legal counsel, and Chad's here with us, we believe that this is in the best interest of both our downtown and our community as a whole. we are recommending that the agency move forward with approving a line of credit for a development up to 300,000, together with additional necessary loan agreement, promissory note, and development agreement that's been drafted by our city attorneys. In deeding this land to Lucas, Maine, it would release the project from prevailing wages, public contracting requirements, and the ability to eliminate the need for a 5-year lease agreement. This overall is kind of a cleaner, simpler process for the development. In these agreements, the reversionary clauses are included and would apply if the developer fails to complete construction of the project by set date, and agreements, default on the loan, default on any portion of the development agreement, or failure to show 5 years of satisfactory business operations. The Urban Renewal Task Force held a meeting on June 30th and discussed the proposal, recommending to staff with the unanimous approval recommendation to approve the agreements with the line of credit up to the 300,000. Questions that were raised by the task force included, but were not limited to, the impacts of the funding, whether it would impact the funding available for the facade grants that you currently can see happening through our downtown now. We clarified it would not. Other questions were specific to the hours of operations and the days the food carts would be open. The developer has clarified that the development is intended to be open 7 days a week, with proposed hours of approximately 11 a.m. to 9 p.m. with weekends extending to like Fridays and Saturdays extending to midnight. Their actual hours would be determined upon the completion of the development and the food truck accommodations. Since that meeting, we've entertained additional questions raised that were regarding property tax revenue from this specific property. We might note that it is that's only one aspect of the city's goals, with the overall economic development as a greater goal. The basic concept is that the city is attempting to foster a specific type of development, which will then further other development in the area, provide other benefits to the community depending on the development. This could be jobs, entertainment, needed services, etc. And provide other forms of tax revenue, such as taxes on personal property paid by businesses, as well as income taxes paid to the state. The idea is that the investment in this property will spur investment in other properties in the area, thereby having that snowballing effect on the property values in the area. So therefore, you can't just look at the property tax revenue brought in by the property, but if you are successful, you would see the increased property taxes on numerous properties, which theoretically would not occur but for this investment. It is, of course, possible that such economic improvement could occur with a lease of the property rather than the sale of it. However, the city retains ownership. Different rules will apply, which may preclude the planned development. For example, if the city retains ownership, it's likely the construction projects would need to be paid prevailing wage rates, which would not be feasible for the project. Rather than selling, the city would potentially provide funding to the developer to cover the gap in the cost between the prevailing versus non-prevailing. But that would mean even more of the investment in this project. So in short, if there's a risk that we lease it, the development could possibly not occur, and the overall economic development plans described in the above will not come to fruition. So keep in mind how long this property is sat vacant and could, without this development, continue to be vacant. So the bottom line is that making that overall type of decision, we need to keep our eyes on. Lucas Main Construction, if you would like to add.
Lucas Main Construction, Medford, Oregon. I'm welcome to any questions. I would love to hear what you guys are thinking. Initially, Christy and Jamie and I got together talking about this project, and it's a opportunity, I think, to bring community together to create a charisma, a momentum. And there's one project very similar to this down in Merlin, Oregon. And I don't know if you guys are familiar with Merlin, very, very small town, much smaller than Sutherland, and it has become a hub, and it's just expanding from there. So this is a conceptual drawing from IE Engineering. They will be the engineers on this project. It's fairly vague, but the concept is there. So I'm open to any questions.
So, do you have any food truck takers already interested in going?
Well, I haven't put it out to advertising, but people just find out. So yeah, we have at least 3 trucks that have reached out, asking when it's gonna happen, when they can move up. One's a taco truck, one's a boba truck, and one is a Thai truck.
And is it supposed to be open all year round, or are they, if they go there, will they be told they have to be there year round?
Yes, there'll be permanent hookups. So, the biggest challenge to food trucks is water, wastewater, fresh water, the power, a lot of back generators have to pack their own water. These will have full service hookups. So be able to go right into your water supply.
Taco trucks are no good, we already have 8.
I'll tell them no.
Unless it's one that's already there and remember. How long would it take to complete this?
After permits have been issued, we should be able to get this project done in 4 to 6 months. Depending on the weather, of course, because last winter was detrimental up here. So depending on the weather, the demo of the building will start right away. And then as soon as we get our permits, we will break ground.
And then so the 5 years that you have to do it, does that start after it's complete?
Yes.
Okay. Those are my questions. Thank you.
I have concerns of the parking.
Mhm.
Is that, do you think that's gonna be enough?
It really depends how popular it is, there's street parking available around there. So it's just a property that's allowed there that's how much parking we can get. But, driving around the community, I feel like there's quite a few spaces, that people can park.
But the whole beer is quite a bit.
At one point in time, they could possibly approach our public for a mutual agreement or parking when they're closed. Yeah,
Yeah.
they're not open.
Especially.
They've offered that before.
The bank?
No. Well, there is misunderstanding.
So the food trucks, they would be paying a lease to,
They pay at least to me, to the
Okay.
truck.
Make sure you get the Thai place.
so I
Yes.
have a question then, so the city purchased the property, correct? So how does the city get their money back? Not just in taxes, but how does the city get their money back in this investment?
So that's part of the give and take of the urban renewal. So that economic stimulus is that he's investing on the improvements of the land, we invested in the land, and then it flourishes from that point forward, creating the economic stimulus. So it's kind of like giving the $25,000 grants or the match to the revitalization grants. That this is another mechanism of the urban
But
renewal.
are they not requesting up to $300,000 in investment from the urban renewal, which is a grant from the?
It's a loan,
It's
so
a loan.
he would then pay that loan back. So all of these agreements, this is like 4 of them in this little folder here. And those would require that payback.
The only investment is the land.
So how much is the land?
75.
Something.
271.
Well, we just sell them the land
Yeah,
instead of financing. I guess I don't understand.
yeah.
Now we're acting like a bank, or I take a fee.
That's part of the business relationship, though.
Yeah, I think.
Created it for the purposes of inciting.
Now we're financing a company that's coming in and
Right.
The profit.
Yeah, that's the
it's
way
a lot more
urban
than
renewal
25 grand,
works.
300 grand, is a lot more than 25 that their bills got.
Yeah,
So
Nice.
so the 300,000 is separate. It's a loan that we would loan him in order to, so part of the struggle of getting a development to take place on a vacant commercial land is financing of it. And so we would finance through the urban renewal, which is part of what that program's intended for. And then the land would be after he provides the development successful 5 years of his financials, the land is pretty much wrote off.
So we give them the land too.
So but
That's
at
all.
the end of the 5 years, so would then be able to, because the ownership of the land goes to him, he would be able to package that and pay us back for the 300,000 or what was left of it, because he would be making payments once it's complete. He's gonna make payments on it, it's like it's amortized over 15 years. At the end of 5 years, all of the contractual clauses are satisfied and he can then go and get financing on the entire package because
Right.
I'm
It's
sorry.
5 years or sooner. You know, once we establish income, you know, banks, they really are reluctant to loan these days on a piece of property or a business that isn't showing, you know, cash revenue income. So 5 years or sooner. And in regards to the 300,000, I'm not coming into this with nothing. To build this project on say, someone hired me to do it. You know, we're closer to 500,000. There's a certain level of sweat equity, if you will, that's involved in this project.
So if you get like 75% of the way through it, if I was not near enough, now what?
But you guys can look me up. I've got tenacity. I don't bail out of weapons.
I still come back to the question of the land, I mean, because that's the question that. That the citizens are going to ask, like, why are we giving away land? We will definitely get answers.
That's the whole purpose of urban renewal, though.
It's-
One of the mechanisms and the purposes of urban renewal, and it's in our urban renewal plan. Is that we would buy and use that as an incentive to. Incite new development, which would raise property taxes. At a near permanent level that provides additional revenue to the cities for years to come.
How much is that expected to bring in revenue by that property? Coming with the be small, with six proposed. Eight proposed food trucks on there.
Well, I don't think that it's hard to figure that out because you can't figure out what the assessed value of that's going to be based on the city, the county and their formula. But when we talked to Chad about this, and his points are, because really you can't draw a 1-to-1 from the property taxes just from this property to paying that 271 back, okay? But the purpose of urban renewal is just that. It is to create synergy in a community that has blight or undeveloped or unattractive properties that aren't doing anything. They aren't doing anything. They are an eyesore. People drive by that and wonder why we're not using it, why something's not happening. And, there's always risks involved with any kind of improvement, obviously. So many issues could come up, but this type of arrangement has worked out extremely well in a lot of jurisdictions who have worked to revitalize a particular area. So the point is that we're not the first people that are doing this with an urban renewal district. This happens. That's what you create the district for. Bottom line is that it's a policy decision. You need to keep your eyes on the bigger picture, which is overall economic development and the benefits that will come from this project beyond the property taxes. If those benefits don't seem worth the risk, I'm quoting Chad's great write-up to me on this, then you shouldn't move forward with the deal. But conversely, the downside of allowing the area to remain undeveloped has other consequences, which could end up costing the city more in other expenses, such as increased public safety costs, deteriorating infrastructure. What if that corner never gets developed? We've had nobody else come and bring anything to us, right? This guy has said, hey, he's got vision and he came.
Well, yeah, but does anybody else know that we're willing to have a property over after 5 years and build it all this?
I don't know that. Did you know that when you came and asked us about that project?
Not original.
That's what I'd say, like, yeah, no, that's just available. I know we can have money.
But on the other hand, you're talking about 8 different businesses coming in here, and we've already given $25,000 to any other business down there, so that's $200,000 that those 8 businesses asked us for a $25,000 grant through urban renewal. Plus the person who's buying it, so that's $225,000. So technically, if you think about it, it's the same as if 9 businesses went, you're almost to the 270 right there. So it's not that much more we're giving out than what we've been doing for every other business.
Wasn't there a problem with asbestos or something that?
No.
Alright, I remember the discussion about whether or not it had it in it.
And I don't know if it was very clear on that plan, but that 1,600 square foot building, that's an additional business as well. I mean, that's where the axe throwing will be. That's where the beer and cider crowd will be inside that. That's a permanent structure. That's not a
So
temporary.
now you're 10 businesses, so you're 250,000 if each one was to ask for the 25,000.
You only get 4 food trucks, does it pay off?
I will make sure it pays off. I'm not gonna back away from the payment or anything like that, but yeah, it's from my research. The possibility to bring a food truck anywhere that has permanent hookups is like gold to these businesses. Because if you notice around, I don't know, southern over Medford, Grants Pass, I don't know, Roseburg, up north, a lot of these food cart lots are a gravel parking lot. Where everybody hauls their water in every morning and they haul their wastewater out in the evening. So having the opportunity to have a permanent spot for their food truck is, everybody I mentioned it to are very excited about that.
You can steal the ones over in Roseburg that are on the sidewalk.
I've heard about that. Yeah.
We're in summer.
But yeah, I think that this is a great concept, a great, community centric thing, but my concern is, and I understand bringing economic development to our community, but my concern is the city purchasing land and then giving it to a private investor to invest in it. Because
All urban renewal districts are built on that foundation. You look at Eugene, they're doing a $20 million apartment complex, and the urban renewal agency's giving the developer the land to do it. That's just kind of the nature. There's no need to have urban renewal if you weren't able to provide these kind of unique.
Was this land purchased with urban renewal funds or was it purchased with general funds? I want to make sure that there's a clear distinction.
Urban
between
renewal.
the two. Okay,
You couldn't use general fund.
okay, I just want to make sure
Yeah.
that that's like clear and off the record that it was not used general funds or any.
I'm not trying to be argumentative,
I'm
but
not either.
base foundation of urban renewal agencies is to do exactly what we're doing here right now. And there is that's why we raise those property tax monies to incite a development on a piece of blighted land that will generate a tax revenue to the city indefinitely.
Have you ever done one this big in Sutherland before?
Pardon?
Have you ever done one this big in Sutherland before?
We've not done any in Sutherland before. It's the first.
First one.
The urban renewal is really new.
We just established
Yes.
urban renewal in 2020.
But everything else was 25 grand.
Yeah.
Right. Well, how about the bank? How much we get them?
60,
50?
60.
And then the wetland
Industrial.
industrial park was 300.
I'd like to know how come, since raising their properties. Big tax.
Well, that vacant lot right now, annual taxes are probably $750 a year. When he's done investing it and it's worth $2.5 million, it's gonna be $20,000 a year.
Yeah, but that's just that one here.
No, year after year after year.
Oh, I know, but that's just that one.
Yeah,
Well, you're implying that everybody's. City's gonna benefit from increased property tax, then it will from that,
mhm.
but not from anything else.
Well, that's not necessarily true either. Because he's doing that, he actually raises the appraised value of the area in general. And that happens. When we did the Oak Street Commons, we've been trying to say, we're gonna get all our money back from Oak Street Commons. And the reason we're gonna do it is because it's gonna produce $300,000 a year in annual property tax to the city.
I have a question about that, since you brought that up. Is the property gonna be taxed on the assessed value or what they paid for it? 'Cause apparently they can buy the property.
It's whatever the law says. Yeah, I
So
don't,
when
I
you buy
don't,
this property at a reduced rate, you're gonna have to pay taxes on.
yeah, but it's still better than a vacant field with, 4 inches of grass.
Yeah, once he improves it, his tax rate's gonna go. Way up.
And what I think also you figure is, for instance, there's a property across the street that's been for sale for a year. And once this is developed, it would make other properties a lot more desirable. And
Oh, Vera's is gonna definitely be
Vera's and then like the
a massage
the
place.
massage place, those are gonna be a lot more desirable and will want to will sell a lot quicker and probably be priced higher. That's the theory, yeah.
Well, I don't think it's a theory. Urban renewal districts wouldn't be continue thriving as they do. I went to Independence for a city manager retreat and stayed in a motel where the urban renewal district bought all the waterfront land and gave that land to a motel developer who then in turn built a new city hall for them. And it raised values on basically, which was a cornfield.
Right.
So it
There's
does
a domino
help,
effect like that. That's
but
what-
you gotta think of it, like you say, long term. This is just one. There's gonna do another one over here. We're gonna do another one over here, another thing over here, and you, pretty soon you look at. We're getting another $1 million a year in annual tax revenue. Maybe we can lower our police utility fee. That's how urban renewal works. We're not supposed to be in the business of making a profit. Or, any return on investment at that level. We're supposed to hope that the return on investment is increased. Quality of life in the neighborhood and increased property tax revenue.
So, Jerry, question for you, maybe it's been answered before, then if the Oak Street Commons property it's in the urban renewal district, is it not? Is there a reason we couldn't have used urban renewal funds for the purchase of that land versus taking it from the funds and where they were taken from there?
Well, the funds, we didn't have that much available in urban renewal at the time. I suppose it could be a policy decision that urban renewal could be used to pay that back over the course of time and then become part of the whole project, depending on how that whole thing structures, but it is in the urban renewal district. The money just, we would have had to borrow it somewhere else probably if they were going to do it that way.
So I have a question. You said there's other cities that do the same thing,
Oh, yeah,
so it's
I
not
guess-
something that's.
every urban renewal district in every city does this. I mean, this is a standard protocol for urban renewal. That's what urban renewal
But I would
does.
like the contract that we're gonna have,
Mhm.
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Um,
Yeah, the one in Independence was done that way.
I
And
believe the one in Redmond was too. That was when I first learned about it, was when Redmond was doing theirs. And it brought a lot of new businesses to their area too. Obviously, many years ago, because now they're thriving, so.
I'm not
They are.
trying to oversell it, I'm sorry.
I
You
feel like-
guys,
I think any of these are thriving.
But I think even sisters,
Yeah.
a lot of these cities that you go through, they're downtowns that have, they have these same programs, and so. Cleaning up the blight is what they're intended for.
I have, I think this is great. I think this is a great thing for the city. And there are gonna be a lot of people that use it. And people off the freeway will stop. And that's the sort of thing we're looking for. My only concern with this has been that we're going to the city. And I use that, the city, the urban renewal district is going to give a piece of property to somebody, to a developer. That's worth $275,000. And yes, it's gonna put money into it, and yes, there's gonna be tax benefits, which we would be lucky to get paid back for the property in 50 years probably, but that's not the whole point of what it is that we're trying to do. My real concern is people out there. And you just heard a little bit of that tonight. And if somebody finds out that we're doing what we're doing, we better have a good story. It better be strong, we better be able to use examples from other cities that have done the same thing. And we better have an answer to businesses in town. Because we've been handing out $25,000. And now all of a sudden somebody's gonna get the benefit of 275,000 or whatever it is.
Which I think is basically for 10 businesses.
Well, I don't disagree with that.
One business is gonna own it, make money out of all those.
Yeah, you don't want business. Yeah, I'm not disagreeing with the concept. I'm just saying you better be prepared. One guy came up here tonight and he said, I really like this city council because you guys are willing to do something. You're willing to step out. You're willing to make this thing grow and take chances. And that's what we've done. And this is a big chance. So.
Mayor,
Yeah,
Can't hear you.
can you hear me now?
yeah.
Oh,
So if I just jump in, I think there's a couple of things that are really important to remember here. The first is that the Urban Renewal Agency is technically a separate legal entity from the city. And the way it's funded is, if you recall, when we formed the Urban Renewal Agency, we created something called a frozen tax base, which basically meant that all the property taxes in the urban renewal area, their taxes were frozen that year for all the taxing jurisdictions. So the money that the city's getting, the school district, the county, all the property taxes they're getting are frozen at that base level from when the district was formed. And any property taxes that are coming in above that amount, so the annual 3% increase that comes in, and any other sort of additional reassessed values and increased property taxes come in, those are all dedicated to the Urban Renewal Agency to perform the projects that are in the plan. And so that money can't be spent on anything else other than these economic development activities. So that's one of the things I think is really important to remind the public of, is that that's the purpose of where this money needs to go. Now, you don't have to necessarily spend it on this project, but it has to go to economic development. So really what you're being asked to do is figure out, well, what is the best economic development activities? Where are we getting the most bang for our buck in bringing, increased property values, as well as, getting rid of some of the blight in the downtown area, activating the area so people are downtown, creating opportunities for enjoyment and entertainment. And so these are all parts of the things that, if you look back at your plan, that you were trying to do, and on how you have to spend the money. So I think it's really important to sort of keep that general idea in mind, and how the restrictions on how this money can be spent. Because it's not like we could take this $275,000 and go buy radios for the police department. That's just not something we could spend this money on. So that's one thing to keep in mind. The other thing to keep in mind for this particular project, and I'm not advocating that you need to do this project or any project, but what we do try to do when you're working on these projects is build in some safety clauses to minimize that risk. So one of the things that we have in this particular agreement, and they're called disposition and development agreements, or DDAs. And so one of the things that you'll see in the DDA when it's brought to you is that there's reversion clauses. So if certain standards aren't met, even though we're deeding the property over to the developer, if they don't do certain things, then we get the property back. And so one of those is the loan. If they don't comply and they default on the urban renewal loan, the $300,000, then we can get the property back. So if the project's successful and it achieves all the goals that we're hoping it achieves, they'll pay off the loan and everything goes great. If the project flops and they can't pay back the loan, then one remedy is that we're going to get the property back into the Urban Renewal Agency's hands. So we are trying to minimize that risk, but obviously there's risk with any kind of development. And I think that's what Tammy and everyone were saying before, is that you just need to sort of analyze those risks and say, is this the project that we want to do? Does this make a lot of sense for our community, given our urban renewal goals? And if so, you move forward. If not, you look at other projects. And sometimes when cities do this, they put out an RFP and just do a request for proposals for developers to come in and submit proposals about how they'd like to develop the property. I don't know how much interest you would get if you want to do something like that. It seems like you've got a great opportunity right here, and if you pass this one up, you don't know what you're going to get in the future. But those are always options that are open to you. I just want to make sure that when you're thinking about this, you're thinking about it in the context of the urban renewal plan, how that money has to be spent, and just sort of saying, okay, is this how we want to invest our money for the community and create a project that we think the community is going to benefit from, or is there some other project that we think would be more beneficial? So I hope that helps a little bit. I'm happy to answer any questions about the specific deal or urban renewal generally, but it is really important when you're talking to the public to be able to explain that these funds are sort of sequestered for this specific purpose, and there's only so many different things that we can do with it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Chad, one question I have. I thought you said something about, we were talking about the urban renewal district, everything over 3% of the tax goes into urban development or something. How does it get to be more than 3%?
Yeah, so basically what happens is, you all know, Oregon's got a really complicated property tax system, right? And so what happens is, under Oregon's property taxes, unless you redevelop your property or make improvements to your property, the increase in your property taxes can only go up 3% per year. And so that's where that 3% comes in. And so as the property values increase that 3% annually, that money goes to the urban renewal district instead of the other taxing agencies, including the city, the county, and the school district. And so then the idea is that money gets invested back into the urban renewal area, that property gets developed, and then on top of the 3%, it gets a reassessed value because of the improvements. And then that improvement also increases the property tax values. So that's how you keep gaining enough money to get money to basically do the projects in your urban renewal plan. And so that's the basic concept behind urban renewal. And then that money, as it comes in, can only be spent on those projects that are listed within the urban renewal plan itself. It can't be used for anything else.
I will too say that this project is specifically addressed in the urban renewal plan as one of our recommended projects.
Was your plan here include like restrooms?
Yes, there'll be two, I'm sorry I didn't put it on there, in the 1,600 square foot building, there'll be 2 restrooms. Right, 88 compliant restrooms.
We could have 8 new places, have lunch and Sunday, you support that with people that have us.
I'm getting tired of on the same old ones. In fact, I don't even go to them anymore. I just go down and go to.
Tired of them.
We've done
Getting there.
quite a bit of research on food trucks and there's a whole lot of Grubhub, DoorDash business for food trucks, and then a lot of families, they go to a food truck lot and every kid goes to a different truck, gets what they want.
Yeah.
And so it's there's other places, Beaverton up north, that they're extremely popular, more popular than restaurants, because everybody gets what they want.
And we have our school supports a lot of events as well, and this would give that variety and close proximity to it. We have schools that use our fields that aren't even when our school's not participating, so.
So we need a motion.
I make a motion that we approve the 177 West Everett Avenue Agreement as presented.
Second. I'll second. So we have a motion and a second to approve property of 177 West Everett Avenue Agreement as presented. We need more discussion.
Can you clarify that itself? What do you know?
To approve a line of credit for the development up to 300,000, together with the additional necessary loan agreement, promissory note, and development agreement drafted by the city attorneys.
And so keep in mind, this will require one more step that we will have before your next meeting, is the resolution that solidifies and attaches these agreements to it. We didn't want to bring that, we have some dates that will work out, that we can't really set the dates until we kind of can estimate some of the timeframes. And we don't want to put him in a violation of an agreement before we even get started, so we need to finalize those agreements and solidify some of the dates that are set in the agreement. So we'll bring the resolution with all of these agreements back based on your decision.
Can we add that we get to approve the food truck?
There's 8, you'll have a choice regardless.
So are we ready for a vote?
Lisa Woods.
I don't wanna go first.
Too bad. You're on.
Gary Daigle,
No.
Adam Sarnoski,
Aye.
Sean Smalley.
I support the project, I just think it's too big of a lump sum, for one out, it's to have to say.
Debbie Hamilton,
You say aye.
Larry Whitaker,
Aye.
Michelle Sumner,
Aye.
Lisa Woods,
No.
motion carries.
Thank you.
No further business for adjourned.